Okay, good afternoon to you all. Thank you once again for coming. Um, I think we will just go ahead and start, and the rest will find us when they find us. So, welcome to this session, this conversation. It's not supposed to be a very formal conversation, by the way. So, I'm hoping to get a lot of interaction. But I do have my PowerPoint just because, just so I can keep myself orderly and I can keep track of what I am saying and what I hope to achieve here. So, to start with, I believe that most of you are here. First of all, can you hear me? Sorry, before I carry on. Can someone give me a thumbs up? You can hear me clearly, you can see me. Okay, thank you very much. That's good to know. Thank you. Yeah, so I believe that we are here because we saw an advert of this sort and saw or heard about, I don't know, whichever one. And this all came up because I just really empathized with the people that have lost their jobs through the sudden donor funding cuts that have happened. I empathize with people who are stuck in careers or doing things that they don't really want to do, but they have to do them because of survival or anything of that sort. So for the most part, I am here for those that want to continue doing impact but don't quite know how to continue doing it. So from the questionnaire that we sent out, or from the RSVP form rather, 74% of you would like to continue in the impact sector. So what I am here for is to say there is not one way of doing sector. There's not one business model for doing impact. There are many options for us, and so we need not despair. There's actually hope. You can actually continue doing impact even as you are out of a job or even as you are hanging on to a job that might not be very secure. So I'm kindly asking, as we begin, come into this very open-minded. I'm not providing a one size fits all solution or talking about the thing that you must do. I will talk about the thing that has worked for me, which is social entrepreneurship. The journey, more than anything, is what I hope you will draw inspiration from to move forward in the work you want to do in impact. I hope that's all right. If I can get a thumbs up or thumbs down or something of that sort, just so I know we're on the same page. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, so I'll begin by telling you a little bit about my journey, my background, and the setback that I faced that has actually caused me to do this conversation. Okay, the setback, how I transitioned, where I am now, and then we'll talk about some tips for moving forward, and then we'll do an open-ended question. Then at the end, I have a gift for 5 people that shall be revealed later. So to start with, let me just give you a little bit of my background in terms of academia, what I have studied, and why I studied it. So starting from 2006 is when I did my undergraduate studies at the University of Witwatersrand. And what I studied was international relations as my major. I studied this because from when I was young, I actually always questioned this poverty thing. I wanted to know what poverty is. I wanted to know what causes it. I wanted to know how to get rid of it. I've always just had a problem with poverty. And when I was young, some events led me to make a silent resolve that I would always work in poverty. So interestingly, for my undergraduate degree, my research, my paper was actually about donor funding and what it has done and all of, the aid business, the whole aid business. I don't mean to make this conversation political, by the way, but some things will come out that are politically based, but that's not the direction we'll take. We will actually always just come back to the journey and the focus of the journey. So lo and behold, when I finished my studies, thankfully, I wasn't one of those that had to wait for years or a lot of months to get into a job. My first job was actually in an NGO. Okay. I was communications officer. I was thriving. I was doing really well. I was young. I was just in there and I was fulfilling a passion, the passion to always work in the poverty landscape. Okay. So even as I worked in the poverty landscape for an NGO, a big international NGO with offices all over the world, my questions were always about, I always wanted to empower people, empower the beneficiaries that we were working for, so that when the programs finished or when projects finished, they can carry on with their lives, And so, yeah, I was very happy to work there. And as I was working there, my career was going that way. I was rising, okay? I was rising. I got onto a project where I was sent to go and work in South Africa for 3 months. I did really, really well in South Africa there. And upon my coming back to Zambia, I got an email from head office asking me if I would be willing to work in the USA. Now, me being in my 20s, of course, I'm not going to say no, And just as that discussion was happening, boom, donor funding cut. 3 months down the line, we got termination letters. Our jobs were gone. So I too became jobless in a matter of months. Instead of my career going where it was going, I was about to become an international development worker. That was cut off completely. Okay. So what happened then was I was okay with me losing the job. Okay. I was okay with me losing the job, but my question remained with the beneficiaries we were working for. If projects are being cut in half, if projects are being cut before completion, what happens to those so-called vulnerable people that we mean to serve? What is going to happen to them? In the meantime, my mom, bless her soul, she was still alive then. She's calling me and asking me, is everything okay? Can we just send the truck so you pack your bags and come back home? And I actually said, no, I'm not going to come back home. There's something within me that wants to fight for this thing. But who was I fighting? The political landscape was such that the owners of the money had stopped the donor funding. They were not going to give us, and that's exactly what has happened now. So if you are in that situation where you have become jobless overnight, I think mine wasn't even overnight as such. I think the ones that have experienced it now have it a little bit worse than I did. Please don't give up. There is hope. As I have said before, there is hope and there's another way to do impact. Okay. What lessons did I learn just within that part of my life? Okay. My department, it was actually a one-man department. So I learned to work independently. I learned to work on my own. And what I would say to everyone is there's some skills, no matter whether you are working in a team or you work alone, but I think there's something big about working independently, learning to take initiative. Secondly, in that moment when I lost my job and I didn't know where my next rent would come from, financial health started happening in my mind. I started thinking about robust ways to save money, robust ways of keeping myself safe for the next 6 months. I started thinking about all that, or as someone harshly called it, financial hygiene. Okay. Number three, I had built myself a very good reputation, I must say. And I'll talk about reputation and how it came to save me a little bit later. So I feel like I've spoken a little bit too much. Just by a show of hands, has anyone here that is here right now, has anyone lost their job suddenly from these donor cuts that have happened end of last year, just by a raise of hands? Okay, 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 okay. I get you. I get you. And as I have said, it happened to me. You will be okay. If you make a decision on how you want to move forward, you will definitely be okay. So, moving forward from that, the transition. So, how did I then move from where I was, from joblessness into moving into where I am now? So, before I even tell you about where I am now, in 2013, okay, so in 2020, between 2013 and 2015, what I was doing is odd and free jobs. In the RSVP form that you filled in, someone said, okay, what do you do? They asked the question about what do you do when your job just ends? I didn't just sit there waiting for the next big job to come. Okay, what I started doing were odd jobs and free jobs. And for me, odd jobs meant I had a cake business. I had a jumping castle to hire out. I did free jobs, but I was very strategic in the free jobs that I did. I aligned all of my free jobs to the impact that I wanted to do. Remember, I came out of my job with the lingering question of what about the beneficiaries that we were working for? What's going to happen to them? Okay, so when I was doing the free jobs, I was making sure that I was building towards still working in the impact sector, but doing things that are strategically aligned to the beliefs and the things that I wanted to do moving forward. So as I was doing that, I stumbled across a young lady that I knew from before. She's actually here. She's part of this great, great journey. She's a good contact to have. Sorry, I didn't get permission to mention your name, but Chipo, Chipo Piri. We were talking about something, and then she told me that she's now running a company where they do, those people that do CVs and those people that align you to a job that you seek. So she really, really encouraged me because she encouraged me to network. She encouraged me to just keep looking, and she encouraged me to just keep building upon my previous experience by continuing with the free jobs that I had. Lo and behold, she did a very nice CV for me. And fast forward, she then found me a job in an NGO that was at the brink of shutdown because it too had lost its donor funding, but they wanted to continue doing the impact work. So the NGO and myself were very much aligned in that we wanted to continue with impact. I keep repeating these words because I feel like that helped a lot with focus. Okay, it helped a lot with focus. It gave me direction. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit later. So in that NGO, the task that I had was to continue running one of the programs. And one of the programs meant me interacting with some of those beneficiaries that were left hanging. These were 4 vulnerable women that were left hanging because there was no more funding to help them. Okay. And here comes the first social enterprise that I created. I created the first social enterprise with not one kwacha in sight. Nothing at all. I had 4 beneficiary women. We had a few resources. We had cotton, we had crochet hooks, and I said, that's what we are going to use. Thankfully, I can do basic crocheting. So I said, that's what we're going to use to finish empowering these women. We're not going to leave them hanging. And in doing that, we were sort of building a model where we would crochet these things, we would knit these things, and then we would sell them. And that money was good. That money was actually good, and it was going back 100% into the organizations for the operations. Mind you, I'm doing all this and I don't even know what the word social entrepreneurship means. I didn't know that it's a business model that exists. So as we're doing that, we start gaining recognition, okay? And as the word would have it, we're gaining recognition and people are giving us money, okay? Some people, 90% are buying, but some are just saying, oh, you're doing a good job. We would like to fund this thing. I was not looking for free donor funding. I had left that business behind. I was looking for a sustainable business model that will help us carry on. Okay. So fast forward in 2014, between 2014 and 2016, we are now getting recognition to the point where we won 2 awards. We got recognition from the Ministry of Sport and Youth and Sport at that time. I was a youth at that time, okay? And this then for me was validation that I could continue doing impact without being donor dependent. And this is why to this day, I will forever speak about social entrepreneurship being the thing, the business model that we need to use to do impact because it's sustainable. Let me hold there and let me talk about the lessons that I learned during this journey, okay? Mental strength was very important. Starting that social enterprise with those 4 vulnerable women, I really could have just walked away. It was the hardest thing to do because you're now working with people who are not having 3 meals a day. If they're lucky, they will have 1 meal per day, okay? You are working for an organization that has no money, okay? No money at all. The people paying you are just family members helping you just so you can run this thing. Family members, the owners of that NGO, you know? So it was a very difficult time. The offices were not, you know, like our nice corner office with a window and everything. It was far from that. But I stayed on the ball because those 4 women, had we not come together and continued engaging them, they would have gone hungry. Their kids would not have continued going to school. Things would have meant something else. I had to wield serious mental strength to continue with that. Networking that I've already talked about, you know, even as I was going through what I was going through, very little money, very few resources, I was getting by, you know, and the networking part was very important. The very cheapo that I've talked about, you know, at one time she actually offered to just do my makeup because I was on my way to Pamosi Hotel to an event that where actually Mrs. Joe Biden was hosting that event. But I had to show up not as though I am going to beg for donor funding, but as though I am already part of an ecosystem that is sustainable. Okay, so big ups to Chipo. Emojis for Chipo, please. You know, number 3, I had to get education and knowledge. I'm hearing a hand. Is that a hand up? Does someone have a question? Letitia, does someone have a question or?
No, I think it was either a legacy hand or a mistaken for an emoji.
Oh, okay. Number 3, because I had now gotten validation about this business model and I liked what it was looking like, I liked where it was going, I decided to enroll myself for some education, okay? Education about this business model that I'm practicing, but I don't really know about. So it's very important. And I think it's much easier now to get some certification of some sort, to get knowledge, to get a whole lot of these things, even for free, you know, you can get those things. Number 4, sorry, I keep messing up my numbers. Number 4, getting help, seeking help. There's nothing dishonorable, my dear friends that have just lost jobs, there's nothing dishonorable about asking for help, okay? For me, the help came in the form of mentorship. It came in the form of mentorship that my dear friend Shimba had told me about. And I had resisted, by the way. I had resisted because I didn't know what all this mentorship coaching was about. What am I going to say when they ask me questions? Like, can I just be? Can you just let me be? You know? But when I did get the mentorship, when I did get the help, till this day, I say thank you to the people that helped me. So just right now here, I want to pause for some reflection. And I have a few questions. So if you have a piece of paper and pen, maybe you can just write down some of your own responses. I think when we are transitioning, there are a lot of hard questions that are thrown to us. There are a lot of hard questions that we ourselves must answer. And sometimes we don't necessarily want to answer them, but we have to. If we've decided that we're not going to stay where we are, we have to answer those questions. And for me, the questions that I went through at that time were, who am I exactly? Who am I and what contribution am I making to this so-called impact ecosystem? Okay. So even for you right now, what is the truth about who you are? Are you an employee? Are you self-employed? Do you work in partnership? Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a consultant? Do you even want to stay in Zambia? Do you want to leave? I don't know what choices you have, but, start asking yourself those questions and start writing them down. Start writing your responses down. Okay. Seeking help, as I said, ask yourself, okay, what help do I need right now? How do I move from point A to point B? Because this point A, it might not be working. I want to be at point B. But how do I move from point A to point B? What sort of support structures, what help do I need in order to get there? Okay. Then, because we are talking about impact, you have to look at the impact ecosystem and ask yourself, who was I in that job that I was working? What was my contribution to the impact system? Was I just happy to be getting a salary? Was I just happy to be, associated with an organization that is doing impact? Who exactly was I in there? What about now? Who am I right now? And I think I've given some of those tips for those responses. And then finally, who do you want to be? You need to decide what you want to be. You need to start planning and writing it down. Who exactly do you want to be? Okay. Moving forward, when I had stumbled across social entrepreneurship, I now started embracing it. I've gotten some knowledge about it. I've practiced it without knowing what it is, but now I'm embracing it and I want to actually do social entrepreneurship. Okay. I want to do impact without having to rely on someone's money. I just want to do social entrepreneurship because it's something that I am passionate about. Okay. So I continued with the first social enterprise that I had created. And then unfortunately, I lost my mom at around that time. So I had to stop and I had to just take a step back. Okay. Um, so why? Why am I talking about social entrepreneurship? What is this whole thing about anyway? Firstly, I'm very sad to report, I'm very sad to let you know that the way the reports are going about donor funding, are that donor funding will continue to dwindle, unfortunately. It's probably not going to be where it was before. It's probably never going to be the same. That's the unfortunate news. This article that I'm showing right now is from Forbes as of 25th February. And it does show that Western European countries have also really started cutting down on their donor funding. But as they cut down the donor funding, okay, as they cut down the donor funding, are we going to stop doing impact? We are very, very, very far from fighting poverty. We're very far from coming out of some of those very stubborn social and environmental problems that we face. But are we going to stop just because people have cut their donor funding? I don't think so. We have to continue doing it. We have to continue doing it because this is our land. This is our country. Those are our brothers and sisters. Okay? So, why social entrepreneurship? And this is where I confess that I am biased to doing impact the social entrepreneurial way. There's no one size fits all. There might be other ways that you want to do social entrepreneurship. Obviously, that's very, very welcome. But I am challenging you if you still want to do social entrepreneurship based on donor funding. So before I even continue, ask yourself again, could the only thing limiting you be the size of your vision and your own self-limiting beliefs? The belief that we can only do this through donor funds. Tonta and Mandy. Can we move from that, Miss Chewe? Can we move, Elena, from thinking that the only way of doing donor fund impact is through donor funding? Okay, so let me now go back to why social entrepreneurship. So for those of you that may not know, when I'm talking about social entrepreneurship, I'm talking about a business model that allows you to achieve impact while generating a profitable income. I know that part of profitable income is controversial sometimes, but it has to be profitable. It has to be profitable because those profits are what are going to allow you to deepen and widen impact, okay? And because you're generating your own income, you are allowed to pay yourself as a social entrepreneur. It is not charity work. It's not charity, it's actually entrepreneurship, and you should pay yourself for it. You should pay your staff members for it. The program should pay itself for it. Okay? So, if you were a social entrepreneur, you'd be able to create or continue your own impact. Remember, for me, I left with the thing about beneficiaries, especially women. I was thinking about women's empowerment, and that's the thing that I left lingering with. Okay? What's going to happen to those women? So even with social entrepreneurship, you can just choose whatever impact you want. There are a lot of situations, there are a lot of poverty issues. You can literally choose whatever poverty thing you want to work in. Generating an income. What's going to be the enterprise part of your social enterprise? How will you generate an income? So there are trainings that you can get for that, but I'm not here to sell what Swalisano does. But we do have a training package called Getting Started in Social Entrepreneurship. There are business models that you can consider in terms of how you can generate a profitable revenue that will allow you to do impact how you want to do it. Okay? Of course, if you're a social entrepreneur, you're contributing to the national development goals, especially the social and environmental ones. And then you're defining your own route. You're defining your own route to impact. You're defining the metrics of your impact. You're defining what your M&E would look like. You're defining what the program would look like, because you're not depending on someone to tell you how exactly they want their money to be used. And then, of course, because you're generating an impact through the enterprise thing, through entrepreneurship, it means that the chances of you sustaining that impact are high. So now, again, I would like to challenge you in this moment to fix your mind on what you want to be. Those of you that raised your hand saying that you've lost your jobs, what is it you want to be? Okay? You can choose to go back to the job if somehow, by some miracle, they come back and they say, okay, the jobs are open again. You're taking a risk, because in the very way that they cut and in the very same way that they brought it back, they would actually take it back again and say, no, no more. Okay. So if you are going to take any risk, my bias is that you take a risk towards social entrepreneurship, or you take a different route, go and work for a CSR department somewhere, you know, so that you can continue fulfilling your passion. Okay. Write it down right now as I'm speaking. Write down what you want to be and where you want to head. My next caution is that you need to stay focused. You need to stay focused even when someone sidetracks you. They come back and they say, okay, there's a lot of money here, come and work. XYZ donors have given us this money. You would be sidetracking from your vision a bit, although maybe that might be a bit harsh, because you need, in your transition, you maybe need to go back so that you realign yourself financially, mentally, and so on. And then you can come back and do impact how you want to do it. Okay. Thirdly, you need to begin to look out for the opportunities and the things that are being said. What are going to be the current trends in impact? For sure, there will always be someone that wants to give. Always, always, there'll always be someone that wants to give money, someone that wants to give something to a cause. Even if they gave you that money, are you able to think about a more sustainable way so that you're not dependent on that money that they gave you? If someone came today and said, okay, here is $20,000 for you to run an impact project, you should really be thinking about, how can I grow this 20,000 so that if there's no one to give me another 20, 50, 100,000, the impact can carry on. That's why I speak about social entrepreneurship, because the enterprise side of it will force you to actually make the money for the impact. Are we together? May I please have emojis or something? Okay. Okay, thank you. Great, great. Thank you. So moving forward in my timeline of my social enterprise journey, or where I am right now, I then decided that this was the way for me. Those visions that you're writing down, I had written them down somewhere as well. This was 2013, 2014 is how many years? About 11 years ago. I have written them down, and I'm amazed by how much I've achieved from that little piece of paper where I wrote down what I want to be. The part where I had decided that I'm going to be part of the social enterprise ecosystem. By the way, being part of this ecosystem doesn't mean you have to be an entrepreneur. You can work with a social enterprise. You can be a consultant for a social enterprise. You can be so many other things for social enterprises. You can be a conscious buyer. You can be a conscious marketeer. Not a marketeer, what is it? A marketing personnel, someone that promotes products and services that are done for good. Okay. So when I was now becoming a part of the social enterprise system, I had to take a few steps back. For me, the enterprise side of me was not strong, because remember, the paperwork that I had was a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations. So I had a very good understanding of political and social, the political and social economy of Africa and how things work. But now running a social enterprise needed you to know how to make money. So I needed a step back. I needed to take a few steps back, go and get some more education, okay, about how businesses work. And then that's when I went to go and get myself a master's in business administration. I really needed to know the business side of things. I needed to understand the various business models that are out there. And it has helped. It has really helped. Okay. I also needed to just expand my knowledge. I needed to increase my network. And I needed to redefine my role within the social enterprise space. So I was already in the ecosystem, but I needed now to define myself and formalize a role for myself in that impact system. Who am I going to be? That question we asked about, who was I? Who am I? Who will I be? Okay, so I needed to take a whole year out as I was studying my MBA, and thankfully it incubated me to now give me steps or to define my role in the impact space. So what is this role that I'm talking about in the impact space? So my role in the impact space is on three parts. Number one is through Swalisano Advisory. And Swalisano Advisory, I think, is the one that you might have seen all over LinkedIn. If you haven't, you're welcome to follow Swalisano, just so you see some of the work that we do. But Swalisano was created for the purpose of building social impact businesses through training, coaching, mentoring, and project management. Okay, so interestingly, with Swalisano, we are 100% for profit. We're not an NGO. We're not even a social enterprise, but we build social enterprises. So we want to build leaders that are making change. Okay, how do we do that? We do that through training them, coaching them, and mentoring them. But funny enough, our biggest clients are the very same, or the so-called donors. What are they paying us for? They're paying us to teach CSOs, individuals like you and me, to learn how to do impact sustainably. And for me, if someone that is funding me sends me to a training that says, can you learn how to make your own money? That means something. They're signaling something. Okay, so I would again encourage that we embrace business models that allow us to make money so that we can sustain impact. We can define our own impact. We can do impact how we know best. Secondly, my second role in the impact space is through an organization called Kwalachihela. So as you can see, I love my local names. I think it's very important if you're going to be talking about being African and finding African solutions. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's not so big, but I think it's important. I will always keep my African names. So Kwalachihela, which stands for laying a foundation, we provide a platform for income generation for rural farmers in the sorghum value chain. What do we do for them? We provide them training for basic entrepreneurship. We provide them a market for their organic sorghum. How do we make money? We do a little bit of value addition to that sorghum. We sell it, and the profit goes back 100% into Kwalachihela. And when I was saying you can define your own impact, you can choose what you want to do, I have then chosen to increase the impact of Kwalachihela to feed rural babies. I feed about 50, well, in pilot, we were feeding 50 rural babies healthy, nutritious porridge of that very sorghum twice a week. You'd be amazed at the difference that it makes to feed rural children just twice a week with this healthy sorghum soya porridge. Okay, and I hope I'm giving someone ideas of what they can do within the impact sector. There were many people that selected agriculture and selected value addition and so on and so forth. Okay, it's most fulfilling to feed children under 5. It's the most fulfilling thing I have done yet. And I will continue doing impact in Kwalachihela because of things like that. The differences that I've seen, the awakening that I see from the moms, the awareness that is raised from the team, by the team, you know, all of those things are bringing fulfillment, but it's not even about me. It's the impact that is being made on those women and their children, their grandfathers who grow the sorghum, you know, like that. Then thirdly, in the impact space, sometimes I do independent consulting work. I try not to because I'm trying to push all the work to Swalisano because I don't want to be overwhelmed. But once in a while, I will take on some work as an independent consultant. Okay, so That being said, I have questions. And my questions really have to do with you and asking you where you are headed. Okay? Where do you want to go from here? I think I've asked this question maybe 3 or 4 times already. Where do you want to go from here? What impact issue is nagging you at the moment? I know right now you also are thinking of your pocket, your money, your salary. That's totally understandable. But it would be nice to know what impact issue is nagging you at the moment. And if I can get some comments in the chat box, that would be nice. What impact issues are nagging you at the moment? For me, it was the women who were left behind, the women who were, just so helpless because there was no one to run to carry them through some of the programs they were supposed to be on. So just in the chat here, could you please share what is bothering you? Solid waste management in local authorities, that's a really big one. Yes, for sure. What else? Okay. If you are not wanting to share, that's also fine. We can leave that one behind. Secondly, what role would you like to play? Is it you want to start your own organization? Is it you want to be to be employed again? If you want to be employed again, where do you want to be employed? And how are you setting yourself up strategically for that employment? Okay. If you want to be a consultant, what steps are you taking towards being a consultant? Number 3, what steps do you need to take to get to that role that you have defined that you want to be in? Number 4, what will you do when obstacles come? For me, as I was building myself and doing all of these things, I lost my mom, something that I never, ever expected. It threw me off completely, I don't even know if that's an obstacle or what, but it was a big, big thing. However, I did continue. I continued after the grieving, the depression, the everything. After it left, I continued because I was very committed to the cause of being a strong contributor to the progressive development of Africa. Okay. And then finally, just some tips to get you started, based on those same questions that I've asked. You need to decide what you want. That's number 1. You need to write down your vision. That's number 2. And you don't even need to write it in clarity and good sentences and things like that. You can really just get a plain paper and write down bullet points all over the place, but start writing it down. Take a scan of your resources and assess the support that you need, okay? We have to dream realistically. We can dream as much as we want, but we have to dream realistically. What do I have with me? Remember, the first social enterprise I started was without any money. So let's also not fix our eyes on this thing of money, money, money. Money is not the only resource. You can start something even without money, okay? So take a scan of the things that you have, the knowledge that you have, the people around you. The problem itself is a resource. What can you do? How can you start with that very problem? Okay? Take deliberate steps towards the dream. Be very intentional. When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? When you walk out the door and you see that problem, how are you thinking of solving that problem? Okay? Then I also urge you to please stay focused, stay completely focused while being agile. In staying focused, I mean, we're in a world where there's a lot of information that can really just overwhelm you, but you need to stay focused while remaining agile, borrowing strategies from here and there, and just making sure that you formulate something that will be impactful. So I'll end there right now. And as I end there, I would like us to do a little bit of an interaction. I hope I've answered some of the questions that came out of the form, but I would like to know what you're thinking right now. So I'm posting a link in the chat box here. And if you click on the link, it will lead you, it will open a new page, and just type, what are you thinking right now? What is on your mind at the moment? And then once that is done, or as we're typing, I think anyone can ask questions by raising your hand. Letitia will sort that out for me. You can raise your hand and then ask whatever question you might want to ask. But for now, please click on the link and then I'll share my screen on that. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Have we managed to click on the link? You have? Okay. So Letitia, I can go ahead and share my screen. Okay. What is on your mind at the moment? Does anyone have any questions? Transition, you will transition. If you are very deliberate about it, if you know where you are headed, you will actually transition, you will get there. Solid waste management. Okay. Okay. These are all very, very nice. So does anyone have a specific question for me? We only have 7 minutes to go and I do have some prizes to give away. Does anyone have any questions? Comments, questions? Would you like to share anything? That is most welcome. Yes, Kumbukani.
Hello, thank you so much. This is so interesting. I really enjoyed it.
I'm glad.
So, yeah, I just wanted to point out something that we might lack in our African culture is how to address grief.
Yeah.
And losing a job is a form of grief.
Yeah.
You know, we only attach grief to things like funerals, losing loved ones, but also losing a job is a form of loss. You've lost something, and you
Yeah.
have to know how you're going to grieve it. If you don't grieve it, it might be a hindrance for you to move on. And one of the things that I've seen with this fund that has been cut off is that people don't want to, face reality. They want to blame someone for it, maybe blame the president of the United States for it. But you see, he was also protecting his own people, had his own interest to protect. Even us as Zambians, if we were found in such a situation, we would choose to protect our own interests. Yes. And I think whether we complain that this has been abrupt or, he just did it so sudden, the truth is that in one way or the other, it was going to happen. Yes. So I want us to, for my sisters who've lost their jobs or brothers who've lost their jobs, let us come to that state where we try and grieve the loss, the way we would lose a loved one, grieve the loss of your job. Talk to someone about it. If you want to cry about it, you're allowed to. It's a process. And the thing is that you won't get over it overnight. It might take some time. Take some time. I've never been employed in the corporate world, never dreamt of it. I've always wanted to be self-employed as a social entrepreneur. And I faced loss in another way. Remember, we had COVID. And that's when I was just growing my business. It was after I came from the Bongo Hive training with the British embassy that COVID came. So imagine trying to grow your business, then suddenly there's a pause and it's something out of my control. Yeah. So we grieve in different ways. And I hope that when we pass through that grieving process, then now we can effectively implement what we want to implement and the businesses we want to implement. So I'm wishing everyone the best and just wishing everyone to love yourself more in this process. Get the time to just sit and say, oh, I'm good at this. I didn't know I can also bake. I didn't know I can also, you know, um, do gardening or farming. You're going to get to know yourself for who you really are. So let
Yeah.
me not talk too much and take a lot of time.
But you've spoken about very, very important things, and I think it's important for us to go through this journey. You know, um, I remember at one time I actually parked on the side of the road. I was still living in Lusaka, in Ibex Hill. I had to cry. I just had to do some deep, deep, deep crying because, as Kumbukani is saying, the loss, it is a loss. We've lost out on something. But from loss comes our greatest achievements if we are intentional and deliberate about them. We're not going to stay where we are. Letitia, I've seen your hand, but there are two questions that I saw first in the chat box. So let me just address them quickly. How do you go about collaboration with others who might share the same passion? Let me actually talk about the greatest partner that I have ever had, and this is my partner Jane at Swalisano Advisory. Believe it or not, I found Jane on LinkedIn, and I was just searching for social entrepreneurs, and she's a skilled guru social entrepreneur in this country, and I wish that we could shine a lot more light on social entrepreneurs like Jane. So I found her just because on LinkedIn she had been posting some of the work that she does. She had posted some articles. She was just speaking my language, and I approached her from LinkedIn. I didn't know her from before. You have to, excuse me for going biblical on you, you have to let the Lord guide you on where to cast your net. Okay, the same way that Jesus told the fishermen, they were fishing in a place where they know they will find fish. The brim is this side, the brim is this side. There was no brim there. The brim was this side where the Lord guided them. Okay. And I always use that verse for moving forward with strategy in my organizations or whatever I'm doing. For me, it was LinkedIn. For you, it might be here right now, it might be somewhere else. Okay. So, in terms of how you collaborate, start finding communities, places, people that are in your area of passion. You may also want to join Social Enterprise Zambia, which was recently launched. You'll find it on LinkedIn. Follow it. You'll find the link there. Please join. You might find your people there. My experience with collaboration is that it's been excellent. We're here now. Swalisano this March has turned, I think, 6 years old. 2018 till now is what? My mathematics.
7 years.
7 years old, maybe something like that. Okay. Does a social enterprise have to do the social part in the same product or service as the business side? No, not at all. Look at Gigi Bonta. Gigi Bonta sells very good quality ice cream, high quality ice cream. And as of 2019, I know that 80% of their profit was going to Chiche Tekelo. Okay. Most of us didn't even know that. We were just buying good quality ice cream from Gigi Bonta. It's a social enterprise. They take their money to impact. Okay. Letitia, you had your hand up. I think that's all the questions in the chat box.
My hand is actually up to address the questions in the chat box. So now that that's done, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. We are 1 minute over time. And my gift is I would love to have a deeper conversation with 5 people. Having a conversation with the lady that I was referring to earlier, who was my mentor, helped me. At that time, I had a brown couch in my house, so I call it the brown couch conversation. But I don't have the brown couch anymore. I have a green couch. So we're going to run a raffle called the Green Couch Conversation. If you're interested, this is not compulsory. If you're interested in being part of that conversation, it's going to be one-on-one, just you and me. just talking about what you're going through. Let's see what obstacles you're facing. Let's see what opportunities are there. We are going to have a green couch conversation, you and I, and the gift is unfortunately only for 5 people. Okay, so if you would like the opportunity to be part of this, please put your name in the chat box very clearly. Put your name in the chat box, and Letitia will run a raffle for us. Letitia, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Over to you. She'll run a raffle for us, and we will see which 5 people are going to get 1 hour of conversation with myself. Okay.
Okay.
We have, okay, is that everyone or people are still typing? You can only put your name once, please. Don't put don't put your name many times.
So, for everyone who's interested, you'll see that I've sent a link in the chat. So if you just click on that link, that's where you can fill out your name, and then you'll be able to join. So far we
I
have
think
3 people who have joined.
yeah, you need to send the link again.
Okay, let me just send the link one more time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just give me a moment. I'm actually not.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Are you still able to see my screen?
We can see your screen. We can see all of the names. This is fair and democratic. How many names do you have? 7.
7
On the
so
screen,
far.
1, 2, 3, 4, uh, 5, 6, 7. Did Adzo put his name? Yeah, 7. I think that. Oh, 8. 8. Okay. 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 You can go ahead and begin.
Okay. So the first name is Radia. Congratulations, Radia.
Okay. Good.
Let me spin one more time. Next name is Lizzie.
Lizzie Banda. Okay.
Then we have Becca.
Becca. Okay.
Okay,
Well
just
done.
2 more. We have Selassie.
The
And,
last.
and then
Okay.
the last name.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tuba.
Tuba. Tuba. Okay. That's good. Okay. Thank you so much. I think we have 3 more people, and I feel sorry for the 3 people. Jane, would you like to take on the 3 people and have a conversation with them? Sorry for volunteering you, but you know I always do.
Sure. Who are the 3 people who did not get a chance?
Okay.
No, the thing is, are they willing to speak to me? Don't make assumptions,
Could be.
Chembo.
Okay, who are the 3 people? Lungowe, Mandy, and there's one more. Okay, so Lungowe and Mandy, if you are willing, we will send you details. And Niza, we will send you details and you can make appointments to speak with us. Thank you so much. Oh, Chonta is also willing. Chonta, did you even enter the... Oh, there are many more. Oh, my word. Okay. I don't know how we are going to do this today.
I think maybe for everyone who's willing, if they can send a quick message to the info email, and then we can organize from there.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we'll somehow sort it out. But thank you very much everyone for coming. We're 6 minutes over time. I hope that you've gotten something that's inspired you just to move forward. Please decide not to stay where you are, especially if it's a sad, gloomy place. embrace those emotions for now, but please don't stay there. Don't stay there. Make strides to move forward. Make strides to move from where you are. And if you can make strides to move forward in impact, that will be the most fulfilling thing you have done. So thank you so much once again for entrusting me. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing and, just staying and listening. Thank you and have a blessed day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.